Potsy ever stop by and say, hey, give you a high sign, give you a wave or anything?
Potsy, you're on the other side of the building, right? So it's tough for you to get there?
Yeah, but, I was thinking, I worked at the concession stand at Gate O in the 1970s.
Wow.
As a vendor. Yeah.
Did not know that.
Yes. The last.
So you know the area quite well.
I know how. I guess what I'm saying is I should know how to get there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's different now. The way you got to navigate, you got to go through the hallways. I can show you how to get through the maze from the elevator, from how you get up into your luxurious press box. You go through a maze, and then I can get you out onto our side. I
can't hear.
You can't hear us?
Come on, we got to hook Potsy up.
Are we on?
Yeah, we are.
We're on.
No,
Testing,
we're on.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Where's he?
Can you hear me now?
I just turned his microphone up.
Can you hear me? Oh, now we get. Can you hear me now?
What were you saying? I'm up.
Potsy, that's actually your hearing aid. That wasn't the.
I need that. You don't know.
Oh, I know. Believe me. Wearing these for all these years. Ask my wife. So no, I'll help you navigate. But so this is good though. You confirm this. People like us who grew up in Chicago and grew up at the old Soldier Field, we never called it Gate 0. It was always Gate O, right?
Literally work Gate O. Yeah, that was what we called it. Yeah.
See, like there were a lot of people last year who, when I started calling it Gate O, when we came back, everyone's like, there were people in the building who were going, no, it's Gate 0. It's Gate 0. I'm like, yeah, no, it's not. Yeah. It's like going way back in the day. That's always known as Gate O. I think when you worked at GN back in the day too, and Bob Collins used to do the pregame show from the trailer
outside.
They used to
outside of Gate O.
They always used to say outside of Gate O.
Although it was a number, not a letter, but you're right. It was always referred to as Gate O.
And I used to say when you would call a phone number a lot of times in Chicago, instead of saying 0, you would say O for a lot of numbers.
Okay, I grew up in Cincinnati. We didn't have phones back there. We just yelled.
Whatever. Yeah. Potsy, do you want to be wowed by?
You want to be wowed?
Do you have your headset on?
I do.
Can you hear?
Can you hear?
Go.
Can you hear?
Bring it on.
All right. So, explain to Potsy what we're doing.
Every year, I put together a list of my 10 most important Bears, not the best players, but the 10 most important Bears of the 2024 season. Okay, so the criteria changes year to year. I don't necessarily will, list them, as I said, in order of best players, but based on certain things that are going on within the team, what their most important players are. Will you like a taste of the 10 through 8 right now?
Because we're up to number 7. That's how he's going to wow you with 7.
Yeah. Number 10, sharing the number 10 spot, much in the way that the Big Ten has 18 teams. I have 2 players sitting at number 10, DJ Moore and Jalen Johnson, who are the 2 best players.
So it's 11 is your
yes,
if you say so. But for me,
it's going to be more than 11 because I think there's going to have someone sharing.
It could be more. It could be more. Number 9 was Tyreek Stevenson. Number 8 was Rome Odunze, and number 7, Sylvia has guessed this correctly each of the last 2 times, albeit with an extra guess. Do you have any guess?
This is, again, I'm going to
number 7.
Go with my first guess from yesterday. I believe one of these offensive linemen is going to have to come in. I think there are 3 really important offensive linemen. I believe Braxton Jones is going to be higher on the list. So I think this is going to be a guard here, and I'm going to go Tevin Jenkins.
I'm going to go defense and say Jervon Dexter.
Sylvia's right again. At number 7, Tevin Jenkins. Availability is, as we always hear in this sports, the best ability. And Tevin, when on the field, is a fabulous player. Did you know, this is from the Bears website, in his 3 years, he has played in only 29 games with 22 starts.
I did know
out of a possible 51 games. When he's out there, he is a difference maker. He has not been out there enough, especially with a young quarterback. If he can prove to this Bears staff that he could stay on the field for 16 or 17 games, he's going to be paid handsomely. If he doesn't, I don't believe he's going to be paid handsomely. And
And he knows it.
He knows that. And I think that that's motivation as well. And again, when you have a young quarterback, I still believe the interior of that offensive line is extra special because that pressure will come from right in front of his face. And I think that that bothers especially young quarterbacks more than others. So number 7, most important Bear this year. For himself, he would put himself number 1 because he wants to get paid. But for me, Tevin Jenkins is the 7th most important Bear for the 2024 season.
Potsy, I like your guess. I if I were to predict Waddle's list, knowing Waddle, I bet you Dexter's going to be higher on the list. So, like, how important do you believe Gervon Dexter is going to be this year?
Well, that position has been considered the motor to the defense for Matt Eberflus. And the third season, based on what he did in Indy, is when it really takes off. So I think it's huge that he comes through and becomes, not just a developmental player, but a force. He's got to take, I wouldn't say Tommy Harris type of level, but he's got to at least approach that. He's got to be that good for this defense to take off like it should. So I think it's huge.
What have you seen from him early on? Do you think he's making those strides, or is it still way too early?
Well, the one storyline is how great he looks, which I always, whenever I hear, I'm in the best shape of my life kind of thing in training camp, it's almost like a red flag. So I'm not astute enough to know exactly how that makes a difference, because sometimes when you're thinner, you're quicker, but you get pushed off the ball more too. So then all of a sudden you're back to another problem. But I'll be honest, I don't know enough about. But from what I've seen, eye test, and when I notice a guy's making a difference in the interior line, he's making a difference.
Right.
So all I can tell you is that if a lot of other things happen around him, which the Bears have a defense that's built to do that at all 3 levels, then I think he's got a great chance to make that next step. I'm still not sure where that ceiling is. It's still hard to tell, but yeah, he's the guy who I would have pegged as has to make a big jump for the Bears to really be good on defense, but also has a really good chance. You're not just hoping that some 5th round pick who showed some promise, can take the next step.
And you would think too, with Eberflus, this is his defense, and as you mentioned, that's the motor. He knows what works there and what doesn't work there, right?
And I wouldn't compare him to the quarterback, but it's like Caleb Williams, that he doesn't have to do it. He doesn't have to be Tommy Harris. I mean, he doesn't have to carry the load. He's got so much around him. Like I said, at all 3 levels, they're really good. They're really solid. Mm-hmm. Let's say that, and that it's set up for him to be that kind of an impact player. Yeah. So. Yeah, I'm pretty optimistic about that relative to the usual disappointment you have when you're hoping against hope that some guy who kind of looked good, Travis Gibson or Tom Robinson.
Who was the kid that jumped? Jerron Gilbert, who jumped out of the pool?
Yeah, well, but these are even guys I'm talking about who have at least showed a little
like
bit.
Eddie Goldman.
A little bit. Bilal Nichols or whatever. Yeah, 5th round. Can they make? That's kind of, I think, it's one of the themes I think of this whole thing, is that the Bears are depending on 2nd round picks and not Harold Jones Corte to be to be an undrafted free agent and be some superstar or to be an impact player. And I think that's why I think the Bears have a better chance to have a better year, is because not only do they have the quarterback and they have so many other pieces in place, dare I use that phrasing, but they are depending on guys to take a step, Stevenson, Brisker, Gordon, who are 2nd round picks, who you expect to be, that Lance Briggs, Charles Tillman type of player. And so you're not hoping against hope.
Right.
I think that's really kind of the theme of the preseason. And I think that's what gives people hope. But we're so far away from seeing anything come to fruition that I almost hate talking about it.
I still remember when Wani met the media that day and used that phrase, all the pieces are in place. It was at the old Hallis Hall. It was either in the press room or even he may have held like the press conference outside on the front of the old Hallis Hall. And he was just raving about the team and about
who was his quarterback at the time. Was it Rex?
This was like in the 90s.
This was 96.
Yeah.
I didn't mean Rex. I meant
like
Eric
Kramer.
Eric Kramer. And it was
all the pieces, and they beat the Cowboys, right? Or it was right before the Cowboys game or something like that.
I think the timing though is appropriate, because I think that season along with this season and a couple others like 13, are seasons where the Bears were not coming off a playoff year, but had huge hopes, high hopes. All the pieces are in place. Again, this is the first time. This is similar to those types of years. 13 with Trestman, 96, where you thought, yeah, this is the Bears' year. And I think it's what could make this. What looks like it really could make the difference is the quarterback.
Mhm.
It always comes back to the quarterback. And we were talking about that earlier, about how when you talk about things, well, gee, are they doing this the right way? Are they handling this preseason the right way with the reps and all that stuff? It's funny how, like, he really hasn't proven himself, but it's funny how the quarterback makes everything look like you're doing it right.
Yeah.
Already you can see, well, this looks like a pretty good plan they got, but playing them Saturday and then we'll take the next week off, and then you're ready to go, and you've got, your joint practice or whatever. But the quarterback, even if he just shows a glimpse of being special, which I think he has, he makes everything right. He makes your fourth round pick look like a second round pick. Your second round pick play like a first round pick. You talk
Makes
about
your
the
coordinator a genius.
You talk about the receiving cores and stuff like that, and a lot. You can talk all you want about the receivers, but talk about the quarterback, because that's really what makes it go. So I think that's been kind of an interesting thing that we've seen again today. We see little glimpses of that, about how. Like I said, I thought Justin Fields was a different animal than Mitch Trubisky, and he was, but he didn't have enough of the other things to really make a difference, at least with those Bears. And I think that Caleb Williams, you didn't ask me about the quarterback, but I'm talking about.
No, I like that. You led us perfect.
But Caleb Williams is the same thing. He's special. There's something about him, and the only question is whether he has all the other things around him. And already he's got better receivers, better support staff, better defense to do it. So I guess what I'm saying is, I said this last year, I said the same thing this year. Dare to dream. I think it's okay. You won't be kicking yourself at the end of the year saying, what was I thinking if the Bears flop? You'll be thinking, yeah, the Bears had the best quarterback prospect they've ever had, and they had a huge support system. We have every right to think as fans. You have every right to think that, this team, this could be what you're expecting. Now you got to wait for injuries and what other teams do and things like that. But it's just funny how the way this thing is playing out is kind of what they had hoped, about how the as we've seen, up north, the quarterback makes a difference, and they've got a long way to go. But I would say pretty good start.
Yeah, novel concept. Mark Potash from the Sun-Times does great work joining Waddle and Silvy right now. This portion of Waddle and Silvy is brought to you by Steinhoffels. Now 4 Chicago, make that 5 Chicagoland locations, the newest one in Schaumburg off Golf Road. So, like, you're not the dare to dream type of guy. You're not the guy to pronounce someone special or to use that lightly. You've seen it all. You've always said that. You're very, very measured, but so it's safe to say he has impressed you with the way this thing has gone early.
Yeah, I think he's been good enough to at least think he can be what they say, what they're expecting. Yeah, I think so. And even though we were talking to Cole Kmet today about Caleb, and just he said, when the lights go on, you can see his competitiveness, which, I kind of followed up on that because, one of the worst things, one of the biggest red flags I hear about quarterbacks is he hates to lose. Well, quarterback doesn't hate to lose. I mean, they all hate to lose.
The loss gets associated with him more than any other player.
So when you hear things like that, what really makes him different? And all Cole said was, yeah, he's different than the previous two guys.
I'm not sure Cade McDowell was bothered by losses. I need.
That's all. Yeah. Well, you might be one. But anyway, what Cole said that made sense to me, and that was really kind of all I needed to know to confirm at least my own belief that you at least got something to work with here, as opposed to just, like I said before, hoping. Well, gee, maybe if this. Like I said, maybe if Adam Shaheen becomes a tight end when he never showed anything, it's not just hope. There's some substance.
There's no magic dust out there. There is actually some
substance there, and I think that gives you a little bit more hope that if everything else goes right, you've got the clincher.
Were you surprised to see that Ryan Poles was in fact pursuing Matthew Judon?
No, not really, because they need help.
Yeah,
they need help, and. That was an interesting move, the way that played out with Atlanta, the team that didn't take a pass rusher in the draft.
Right.
He took the quarterback, which allowed the Bears to get a Dunze. It was, it seems like it's working out it worked out right for the Bears, and also this one too, because he's a bigger risk. I mean, you would be paying the same price for Judon as you did for Sweat.
Well, he ended up going for a third.
Right. But I mean,
Yeah.
if it would have taken a second, right? I mean, if it would have taken I mean, just the price wasn't right. And
yeah,
who knows? Who knows? I mean, we're nearing the anniversary of when Khalil Mack came to the Bears. So for at least temporarily, that was a godsend, right?
Yeah.
And that was a masterstroke by Ryan Pace. So no, not surprised that he's that he at least made an attempt, because they definitely need the help there. But that's not really the risk I think he ultimately wanted to pay too much for,
right?
Because he's 32, coming off an injury, still a good player, but
and wants to get paid.
Yeah, that's not really maybe the roll of the dice or the risk you wanted to take.
What are you changing gears here? Nate Davis met the media today. It was again short, and it was odd at times. Why do you think it is with him? What is going on? And I don't know if anyone really knows, because no one really knew what he was going through last year off the field. But is this a red flag to you? Just he can't stay healthy, and then when he is asked about things, he's very defensive about a lot.
Yeah, he's just a different kind of cat. The red flag was when he couldn't play for Mike Vrabel, right? I mean, when
if Vrabel wants to let you go,
yeah, there's
buyer beware.
Yeah, exactly. So so that would that was the first one, and then and yeah, he had some issues. Obviously, had a death in the family that was terrible for him to have to go through. But then he had the injuries after that, and Peggy's right. He does have the reputation for being a guy who doesn't like to practice. He's earned that reputation.
Mm-hmm.
People with the Titans have said that in no uncertain terms.
He signed a free agent contract. I don't know how often he signed a free agent contract and then missed OTAs right last year. I mean, I didn't, that was a red flag to me, because especially in the offensive line, the team within the team that needs to establish continuity, you would expect him to be there. So, but I'll be honest, the biggest issue is that when he was good, now he said the opposite of this. He said when he's healthy, he's great, he's good, but I don't think he was that great even when he was good. And so, but I'll be honest, I'm not sure how much of an issue it is, except for the money they spent on him, because I think with what they have in the offensive line, especially, and the options they have at right guard, their biggest need is continuity. They don't have enough. They're by themselves or just pieced together. They're not going to be great. Their only way they can really be good is by being that offensive line that plays every snap, every game, every time. The Bears haven't had that. Say it over and over again. I mean, they've had 18 different starting lineups in 34 games. And even more different combinations during it, like 46. I mean, it's just, so I guess what I'm saying is I don't think there's only the guard on this team that can really be special is Tevin Jenkins, not really Nate Davis. And so whoever they have there, the key to making that work is just continuity. That's what they need more than they need Nate Davis, to tell you the truth. And if they don't get that, then that's going to be a bigger issue than anything. Because if they don't like Nate Davis, what he's doing, they'll take the hit and they'll put in Ryan Bates. Yeah. So and they won't be any worse off, and they'll be better off if they all
work together.
If they all stay together. I mean, like I say, I keep repeating. I've said this probably every time. The last time the Bears had every starter in the offensive line start every game they were second in the league in scoring in 2013 with
let's see how many
Kyle
you
Love.
Can name. Yeah. Kyle loves Caleb too. We'll play that tomorrow. Potsy, great to see you.
Thanks, Potsy.
Great work as always.
Yeah. You didn't think you're going to be leaving this place when the sun was down, did you? It's late.
Well, the sun better not be down now.
I'm joking. I'm assuming that he was probably going to go home earlier had he not committed to coming in here with us.
What's worse, Tom, is I have a deadline to beat.
Oh, yeah.
Go.
So get out of here.
I'm not good at that.
Oh, you bad? You're bad on the deadline?
Yeah, I'm a joke artist.